How can you gain fluency in English? Going from zero to fluent? This is your complete guide to becoming fluent in English, covering the essential 5 steps to help you achieve fluency. If you follow all 5 steps, you'll be well on your way. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope you're doing great. Welcome back to another session of learning English with me. In this lesson, we're going to focus on improving our overall English skills, not just speaking but all aspects of English. I've received many requests asking where to start, especially if you can understand English but find speaking difficult. You may want to start your journey but struggle to find a clear path. So, today, we're going to discuss how to go from zero to fluent. Are you ready? Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated with all the lessons I post. Don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends. 2. Now, let's dive into today's lesson on progressing from zero to fluent. If you're starting at a beginner level, this guide will be helpful, regardless of whether you're at an intermediate stage or just above the basics. First, let's clarify what we mean by zero level. You might think zero means nothing, but that's just a mindset. If you can understand English, you're not at zero. Consider yourself at level 2 or 3. Our goal is to get to 10, which is fluency. If you can understand English, like you're doing now while listening to this video, that's a significant achievement. Imagine if I started speaking in Spanish. You wouldn't understand it because you don't know the language, which shows that understanding itself is a substantial accomplishment. So, you've already completed half of the journey. What's left is to build fluency on this foundation of understanding. And that's where our steps come in. Let's begin with step 1, survival English. If you're starting from a basic level, focus on learning survival English. Survival English is the essential spoken language needed to communicate effectively in English. We rarely use it in written English because writing requires proper structure. But in spoken English, we can skip some structures and convey meaning with essential words. This allows others to understand what we're trying to say. Imagine you're in an English-speaking country where no one understands your native language. You might not know the exact grammar, but you could still communicate with key words. For example, if you're hungry and need to find a restaurant, you might say, food, hungry, restaurant. These words make sense together, and the listener will understand that you need directions to a place to eat. They might guide you to a restaurant or tell you where to go. Survival English involves these meaningful words, like nouns and verbs, that convey what you want to say. Grammar structures such as is, am, are, or does, do, did, aren't essential here. Instead, focus on words that carry meaning. This basic English is what you need to get through a day in an English-speaking environment. Once you know survival English, you'll feel more confident to speak. And this leads us to step 2. Start speaking from day 1. This is something I've emphasized in my videos. Begin speaking English from day 1. I even have a dedicated video on why starting immediately is essential. The sooner you start speaking, the less hesitation you'll feel. Whether you're learning vocabulary, grammar, or any English component, use it in your speaking practice from day 1. After all, our goal is to become fluent, which requires practice. Speaking is a skill that improves with use. So, start now, speak as often as you can, even if it's just a little each day. Let's work on improving our vocabulary. practicing grammar rules, and listening actively for at least a month, then we'll start speaking. Right? No. Everything must go hand in hand. Speaking and other aspects of English learning should progress together. Both need to be practiced side by side. And that's the approach to take. So, start speaking from day one. This is very important because it allows you to exercise your speaking muscles. And over time, this consistent practice will lead to fluency. Remember, fluency can't be achieved overnight. Think of it like learning a recipe. Suppose I'm watching cooking videos repeatedly, studying the recipe carefully. Then, one day, I decide to try it myself. Will I make something perfect on my first attempt? Of course not. It will likely be far from perfect. Similarly, many people believe that they should spend a month on vocabulary, another on grammar, and then, when they feel they're ready, they'll start speaking. They think that by then, their grammar will be flawless, their vocabulary rich, and their English will be perfect. But it doesn't work that way. All the steps are important, but they need to happen simultaneously. Day one of speaking should also be day one of your English learning journey. So, to become fluent, start speaking from day one. Moving to step 3, good English input. Language learning requires a model, where we're receiving information to process and then produce language. How do we learn our native language? By listening to it constantly. Then eventually reading it in school. Listening and reading serve as input, while speaking and writing are output. To produce fluent English, we need strong input, primarily listening. Listening is essential because it introduces us to pronunciation, rhythm, and sentence flow, all of which are important for speaking fluently. Where can you find good listening models? Movies, songs, web series, TV shows, and YouTube channels are all excellent resources, along with academically curated material for English learners. Good listening models help you absorb the sounds, words, phrases, and natural pronunciation patterns of English, which become stored in your subconscious. Later, when you need to speak, you can retrieve these sounds and phrases naturally. For example, if you've heard a particular word or phrase multiple times in context, you'll understand it better and be able to use it correctly when speaking. Listening is critical, so start today. Many people neglect this, but it's one of the most important factors in learning. Listening to good English frequently will yield noticeable results and improve your speaking practice. In addition to listening, reading is also essential. Reading reinforces spelling, vocabulary, and word recognition, and it can complement listening practice. However, I recommend starting with listening and then incorporating reading. Step 4. Speaking practice. To become fluent, daily speaking practice is a must. But what should you practice? And how should you practice it? Practicing with the right techniques is key. You may practice regularly but fail to see improvement if there's no direction or purpose. Repeating the same thing over and over without a specific goal can lead to frustration. To make your speaking practice effective, apply specific techniques. One such technique is the mirror talk technique, where you practice speaking in front of a mirror to build confidence and fluency. Incorporating a range of speaking techniques will accelerate your progress. Carve out time every day for speaking practice. I have a video lesson discussing 12 different techniques to help you practice speaking effectively. Practice English speaking. 12 techniques. To improve your English speaking, Check out my lesson on 12 techniques for English speaking practice. In this lesson, I share various techniques that you can use to enhance your speaking skills. It's essential to practice speaking English consistently. In addition to these techniques, I also provide English speaking practice lessons. These lessons allow you to speak with me, repeat after me, and do shadowing exercises. There's a dedicated playlist where you can find all the speaking practice lessons, which guide you through practice under my supervision. Practicing with guidance from a teacher is very beneficial. I've created a free video series on YouTube for you. Explore the playlist and start practicing with me. Speaking practice is essential, so take it seriously. Put in the effort, and you'll see the results. Step number 5. Basic grammar. Now, on to step 5. Basic grammar. Many people tend to overlook grammar. There are generally two types of learners. One group focuses heavily on grammar, learning all the rules, while the other group wants to skip grammar entirely, aiming to speak fluently without any grammar knowledge. Neither extreme is effective. We need balance, a middle ground, like a center of gravity in language learning. Basic grammar concepts are essential to help you form correct sentence structures. You don't need to learn complex grammar rules unless you have an academic requirement, like preparing for an exam that requires high-level grammar proficiency. For everyday conversational purposes, basic grammar is enough. Understanding foundational concepts, such as the usage of do, does, and did, will enable you to construct sentences confidently. Knowing how to structure sentences properly boosts your confidence and, in turn, improves your fluency. Without this foundation, you may hesitate or struggle to form sentences, leading to uncertainty and stumbling over words, a common issue for many learners. If you focus on mastering basic grammar, you'll overcome these challenges, allowing you to create clear, accurate, and fluent sentences in English. Fluency will come naturally over time. I've created a basic grammar series focused specifically on spoken English grammar essentials. So check out the playlist to access lessons that will help you become fluent in English. Remember, while grammar is important, only the basics are essential for fluency. Bonus step. Focus on all 4 skills. Now, let's discuss a bonus step, step number 6. To become fluent in English, focus on developing all 4 language skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing, LSRW. Listening and reading provide input, while speaking and writing are forms of output. Think of these 4 skills as the foundational pillars of any language. To master English, approach it as a skill and work on these areas consistently. Approach language learning as a skill. Approach English as a skill, not merely as a subject-object kind of learning. The skill of speaking is supported by 3 other pillars: listening, reading, and writing. Each of these elements is crucial, so be sure to give equal attention to every pillar. Writing, for instance, plays an important role, which is why I often recommend journal writing. You may have seen my video lessons on this topic. Why do I suggest it? Because it allows you to practice writing in some format, even if you're not currently required to write academically. While speaking may be your primary focus, writing regularly still improves your speaking skills over time. Each of these 4 skills supports and reinforces the others, so focusing on all of them is essential. To improve your speaking, listen, read, And don't forget to write periodically. This is a practice you must engage in to grow fluency. By building all 4 skills, you create a solid foundation for becoming fluent in English. The complete process of becoming fluent in English. And now we come to the end of the complete process of becoming fluent in English. From zero to fluent. If you follow the 5 steps discussed, you're on the path to achieving fluency. These 5 steps serve as the pillars for developing your English speaking abilities, giving you a powerful formula for success. If you want to become a fluent English speaker, follow everything I've outlined in this lesson. Start practicing today, and you'll soon see the results. That's it for today. I'll see you again with a new lesson. Until then, take care and goodbye.